Hey guys, Landon here with FieldAgentResource.com. Today I want to share with you a business called Sandcastle Field Services that you can join up with as an independent contractor and start earning money taking photos of properties and vehicles that other companies have a financial interest in. Now, I have another video out there called The Ultimate Guide to Field Agent Work that gives you a better overview and deep understanding of the field inspection industry. So this video is going to be more specific to Sandcastle Field Services, what you can expect in working with them, what their interface is like, what the payment's like, things of that nature. Again, if you have interest in this industry in general and interest in other companies like Sandcastle Field Services, I will have other videos out there, and of course check out that Ultimate Guide. So if you haven't checked out the Ultimate Guide or you don't know what field agent work is, very briefly, essentially you have three parties involved, and parties like Sandcastle work as a middleman that connect, say, an insurance company or a lender with a local independent contractor, freelancer, that can go out to a property in order to get information about it and then report back. Because a lot of times you might have a mortgage company that's located in, Ohio, but they have a mortgage that is on a property in Wyoming. And for them to send somebody out, to fly out there, visit the property, very, very time consuming, very expensive, when they could just pay somebody that lives locally $20 and everybody benefits. And so that's essentially what this is all about. You connect with Sandcastle Field Services as an independent contractor who will then go to properties to take photos and fill out simple reports. And then they will take that information and forward it to the end user, the insurance company, the lender, to give them the necessary information to remain compliant or understand what their next steps need to be. In my experience, a lot of the jobs that I've been doing seem to be, and again, they don't tell you what the reasoning for why you're going there, but a lot of times I can kind of read between the lines just with who I'm working with and the type of information that they're trying to get. It appears like a lot of these properties are those that are going into foreclosure, have recently been foreclosed, or are vehicles that are at risk of being repossessed. These are individuals that are behind on their payments, and so some sort of creditor is trying to track them down. So you're not necessarily a debt collector, but you are playing a role in it because you're doing things like letter drops, where a lender is having you post a notice to the door, usually inside of an envelope, and proving that you did post that notice. So you'll take a photo of the letter that you're sending them, which is often just a general letter saying, hey, please contact such and such company regarding your account. Or sometimes they'll be very blatant and they'll put the account balance. I had one recently that said, hey, please reach out to such and such lender. You are 5,000 XXX numbers behind on your payments. And then you'll go and you'll take a photo of the address, take a photo of the building that you posted the notice on the door, fill out a small report, and then you upload that to the Sandcastle website and they forward it to the lender. And the same is true for things like vehicles. They'll often have you go to a property and see if a vehicle exists at that property. And then you will be asked to take a photo of the vehicle if it's on the property, take a photo of the VIN number, take a photo of a couple different views of the vehicle. And essentially what they're gathering, what I'm suspecting, is if this vehicle is behind on payments, can they keep track of where it's located at, especially in case of the fact that they would have to repossess it. And they're also interested in the condition of the vehicle. And then again, if the customer is way behind on payments and they want to start the collection process and maybe show that they're very, very serious about this and that these, letters in the mail are not just something to toss out, then they might have me do a letter drop where they will print off a page in reference to the loan on that vehicle that's behind on payments, and then have me post that to the door. I would say the vast majority of times I show up to these properties and there's no vehicle at them, or it's a large apartment complex and I'll drive through, but I have trouble tracking down these vehicles. And I'm not the person that's actually going to repossess them, but I would say that a lot of times I show up and I'm just taking photos of the property and proving that I showed up. And so the one thing that's very, very nice about this particular company is they pay on the vast majority of jobs that I've done, whether the vehicle is on site or not, whether you can get in contact with the person that is living there or not. And that kind of brings us to what the expected payment is. Now, I originally got started doing this type of work with an app called We Go Look, which I also have another video that talks about that one. And it paid pretty decently, but as I was more interested in this industry, I came across somebody that was in this line of work. I believe they were actually in like property preservation work as a business. And then this was kind of like an off-side gig type of thing that they did that kind of fell under that umbrella. Anyways, and they were using Sandcastle Field Services. They posted up about it in a comment, and they said that they were getting better pay. And so I was like, well, I got to check that out. And I would say that, yeah, you often have to advocate for that better pay. You have to, like, what you do is you go through and you fill in this line item that says, what are you requesting to be paid, and what is your requested deadline date? And I usually put in, say, $20, $30, and I can usually get these jobs at that rate. So that means the lender is going to be willing to pay me $30, and it's likely they're paying a higher rate than that, because I'm sure that Sandcastle wants to get some sort of margin or spread on the difference between what the end user is paying them and what they're paying me. But I would say I can usually average about $20, $30 per job. And I think that's a pretty healthy rate, because I'm usually only on site for, I would say, 10 minutes tops. And a lot of times I'll show up to these properties and, like I said, the vehicle is not there, but you're getting paid either way. And that's very important, because when you pick up these jobs, you're not getting paid mileage. You're not getting paid for your time to commute there. You're just getting paid for the fact that you are actually going to do that task. And so if you can strategically align these up with locations you're going to be in, or that are closer to where you work or live or commute to anyways, you know, that's a good chunk of change to be able to make a quick detour and make an extra $20, $30. That said, the interface is not something I'm a huge fan of. The interface for getting jobs is a little clunky. So it's pretty easy to find assignments, but they have this whole area where, like, you go through and you type in what your expected rate is for different zip codes, but there's so many different zip codes in metro areas. It becomes a little bit difficult to figure out, how do you align that with all of the places you want to serve. I don't know. I just felt that was kind of difficult to figure out, and I kind of skipped a lot of that, because what I'll do instead is they have an assignments available area that just lists out all the available assignments they have, and then you pick and choose ones that make sense to do. And you can read through kind of what it is, whether it's a letter drop. Of the companies that I've done work with, the app is probably the biggest downside. And the other thing that I'm not a huge fan of is how they pay. Like, it's nice that you get a large chunk of change all at once, because they pay twice a month. But at the same time, it's like you do a job, and especially in a field like these gig economy apps, it's often you do the work and you get paid pretty quickly. So like We Go Look often pays within the next week on a Friday. A lot of these other apps that I use that I'll do other videos on, or that you'll see on my website, fieldagentresource.com, they pay almost immediately upon getting approval of what you've done. And so waiting is a little bit of a bummer, but it is nice to get these bulk payments, because they often come out to be like $200-$300 depending upon how much I've been able to invest time in these side work. So that's nice because, if you're only getting like $20 here and there, it's pretty easy to be like, oh, I got an extra 20, might as well go grab some dinner. But when you don't get paid immediately, then you're like, well, I don't have the extra money right now to go spend on something stupid, so I'll wait. And then all of a sudden you get this influx of like $200-$300, and it's like, oh, I got a large chunk of change now. I can go out to eat and still have something left over. The great thing about Sandcastle Field Services, and I would say in general the entire industry, is that there's not this sense of urgency. So you can figure out ways to align this with your full-time job. And that's what I do. So a lot of these earnings are just for my extra, like going out to eat, things that I wouldn't normally do. And it works well because I can say, hey, I can do that on Friday, which is like 3 days away. I want to make this amount of money doing it. Can you make that work? And then they'll report back and allow me to either accept or deny that payment. I think that pretty much covers everything there is to know about Sandcastle Field Services. It's a good way to make extra money. Of all of the services that I've used, the only downside really has been just the web interface. There's no app. There's no intuitive design to it, I guess I could say. But what is nice is that you can take the photos separately. You don't have to take them within the app. So what I often do is I'll do all my photos, do all my routes, get the information I need, and then at the very end of the day, I'll upload all of the information all at once to the website as one massive upload. And I think that that's kind of nice because then you're not tied down to just using your cell phone. You can use a camera, you can upload them separately. All of these things are nice. And I think beneficial about this particular business versus other ones like We Go Look, where you have to use the app. So anyways, that is Sandcastle Field Services. It's probably a website service that you've flown under the radar unless you are in the industry and have worked with this company. If you're just out there looking to earn extra money, it's probably not something you're going to come across in the Play Store, because they don't have an app. You actually have to go out there and someone has to tell you about it. You have to learn about this business that exists. So here I am. Hopefully I've done a good enough job of that. And if you're curious to get more information, I would encourage you to check out fieldagentresource.com.